Welcome back. Today we'll be looking at data manipulation in Excel, and is the second part of data cleaning techniques in Microsoft Excel. Now, at first we'll be looking at text to column delimited. So now let's look at first to column delimited. First to column delimited work with when you have a data that is collected in one column and is separated with something like tab, comma, space, etc. Now, to achieve this, the first procedure is to highlight all the text that you have. I have a lot of observation here in this data set. This is over 280 something observation. So select the first observation and use Ctrl Shift arrow down key to have all your selection. So from here we are going to move to the data menu. From the data menu, let's go to data tools section. From there you see text to column. Click on text to column, then leave it on the delimited. Click on next. From here, what's our delimiter here? You go to under delimiters, and our delimiter here is space. It's based on the space that we want to split it. So all you need to do is to leave it. But if it is on any other thing like tab, or for instance, if it's even on tab, you can discover that the name will still be the same. But the moment you clean off tab and select space, you can see it will give you a preview of how the data set is going to look like. So click on next, and from here we can set the format for the column. You can change it from either general to text. If it is date, you can change it to date and stuff like that. But this we are leaving it to general, and you can see the preview here. So all we need to do now is to select the destination. If I leave it here, what will happen is that the first name will be here and the last name will enter another column. But if I want to have this in separate column, we can do this by clicking on the arrow up key there and select a particular location where you want this operation to take place. Then click on arrow down key to go back. So from here now we can click on finish, and that is all. This name has been separated into two, first name and last name. So we can calibrate this as first name, calibrate this as last name, and delete the complete full name. That is one way, and that is one way you can use text to column option. Okay, for the second one, we will look at how to use text to column with fit width. For instance, here I have a product ID and cost ID. The one that is the one that starts with the alphabet part of this particular employee ID is the product ID, while the number area of this employee ID is the cost ID. So I have this product ID and cost ID. So let's have these two columns ready for the work. Next, we are going to select all the employee ID. So we want to separate it in a way that the product ID will be under product ID, the cost ID will be under cost ID. You know, the first one we did is with space. This one now is with width. It's no longer a space because everything are joined together. So select the first one and use Ctrl Shift arrow down key for all the selection. Next, we move to the data section, to the data menu. Then we'll go to data tools section. Click on text to column. This time around we are not using delimited, we are using fit width. So select fit width and click on next. So it will give us the preview, and this is where we are to make our demarcation. So I'm going to click here where we have two letters before the numbers, and that is all. So this is how the extraction is going to be. So click on next. Now for the general, we are going to leave for the first part of it, which is the product ID, is in text. We are leaving it to general. But for the cost ID, which starts with 0, you see, most of it starts with 0. We are going to change the format of the column to text, because if you leave it in general, all this first number will not show. So we are going to select for that part and click on text. Then you can select your location. Since we want it to be under the separate column for product and cost ID, we need to click on the destination button and select the first cell there under product ID. Click on the arrow down key to go back, then click on finish, and that is all. This has been separated. the particular complete employee ID has been separated into product ID and then the cost ID. On the third, we'll look at how to format text and also change cases in Microsoft Excel. Now, assuming you have a data, a collected data, and the date format is arranged in a way that is improper, or maybe is arranged in an unclear format, you can clear it. This is the data set from the registration we did for the Ason Tech Hub. As you can see here, it comes with the date and also the timestamp. Now I don't need this. All I need is just the month, the day, and the year. To achieve this, all you need to do is to select the first there, then you use Ctrl Shift arrow down key to select everything. Right click on this and click on Format Cells. So from Format Cells, go to Date. Ensure you're on the number section. Go to Date and look for the format that you want to use. In this case, I would like to use this format, so I'll select the format. That means the month first, the day, and the year. Click on OK, and that is all that has been clear. So there's no need for you to be using your hand manually, removing the timestamp and all that. No need. This has been clear. Now it's showing clearly with November 5th 2024, and the last one here is December 25th 2024. So this is how you can format your dates in Microsoft Excel. Okay, the next one is how to change a case in Microsoft Excel. For this data that we collect, we ask people to type their name in block, but some people type it in proper case, and some people even use sentence case. So we want this name to be the same across. To achieve this, we can use the function, the Excel function for case changing of cases in Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to here and I'm going to provide the right structure here. So type the equal to, because if you're using any function in Microsoft Excel, you have to start using it. You have to start it with an equal to. If not, Excel will not detect it as a formula function. So we are going to do trim. This time around we're going to do upper. That is to change the case to uppercase. We're going to do upper. Then open your bracket and select the first observation. Then close the bracket back. Now, there will be no changes in the first observation because that one is arranged is in proper case. It means it's in uppercase. So if we want this to pick effect, all we need to do is to autofill this formula downward by double clicking on the autofill button. It will do that for us. Like here where we have the name in proper case, you can see it's now in uppercase, and where we have the name here in sentence case, you can see it's now in uppercase. Now, this is how it works. And if you want to have the name in proper case, like all the names should be in proper case, you can. It also have a formula for it. That is proper. Type equal to and type proper. Open your bracket, select the first observation, close the bracket, and enter. It will be in proper case. So this is how case changes work in Microsoft Excel. And if it is in a position where you need how is it called, when you need lower case, you can also achieve that by typing lower and it will give you the results. So that is how it works. Next, we will look at data coding in Microsoft Excel. We will look at how to code data from figures bar to letter, like from number to letters, and how to code data from letters to number. Now, to achieve this, we have an employee status showing 1, and we have others showing 0.7, 0.5, 0.8, 0.9, and we have this like this downward. Now, what this particular status mean here, according to this data set, is that if the employee status is equal to 1, the employee is a full-time employee. But if the employee status is less than 1, then the employee is a part-time employee. Now, you want to change this to statement like. To achieve this, all you need to do is to use one of these, the simple formula in Excel, the if. If is among the logical formula in Excel. You can use this in achieving this. All we need to do is to go to a new column and type equal to, then we start typing the formula if. Open your bracket. The first thing while using if formula is to type in your logic. Now if you want to start typing any formula, you will see it will give you a direction on what you need to do. Like for the if, now it's telling us that okay, it highlights here, you can see it highlights boldly that the first thing we need to do here is to state our logical test. After that, you put a comma, then you state the value if true, put a comma, then you state the value if false. It works like that with any kind of formula you're using in Microsoft Excel, and it's the same process when you are using R programming. R programming, using any function in it, once you type the function, it will guide you that this is the next step, this is the next step. So now the first thing to do is to type our logic test. So our logic test is going to be this. Let's use this first. We say that if the value we have here under the status if5 is equal to 1, this is our logic, comma, because we say if it is equal to 1 is full time and anything less than 1 is per time. So if it is equal to 1, comma, value if this is true. When I type 1, I don't put it in double quote because it's number. Dealing with formulas and also variables in programming does not require a quotation. But when you are dealing with string variable in Excel or in any programming environment, you must use double quotes. So now the next thing I want, a value if true. If it is equal to 1, I want to say that this particular employee is a full-time employee. So the value if true will now be, open the double quotation and type full-time. So we close the double quotation, comma, we'll move to the value if false. If it is less than 1, if it is any other thing apart from 1, we want to say that this is per time. So in a double quote again, we type per time, then close the double quote and close your bracket for the formula, and that is all. For when we have 1, it's showing full time. So we can copy this formula down by using the autofill, and it has been copied down for each of the value. Remember, when you have formula and you are to move this to another environment like Power BI for your visualization or Tableau for your visualization, you cannot take this there like that. So it's advisable you it's advisable you convert this, you paste this as a value. So since we have everything selected, all we need to do is to right click and select copy, or you can do Ctrl+C keyboard shortcut. So back to home, still in this same place we want to paste it. Click on the arrow down key under paste there and select paste. That is all. It's no longer a formula, but it's now a test. You can use this like this. Okay, the next part of this coding is how to convert alphabet into number, which is the best thing I would advise you to do while using other software for your analysis, like while using software like SPSS or R programming or Python programming. It's good if you convert your statement like observation to number, but you have the coding for it. So that is why we call it data coding. Now it's good if you have it that way, because if you have it in number, you can do any kind of analysis that is required of that particular data set. So to achieve this, to achieve the changing of this kind of variable, when you have this kind of variable like gender or some stuff like that, or maybe you collect an information that has to do with some functions, like maybe, how do I put this? Okay, like you collect a data that has to do with employee employment status during some registration. Some people will be there. Okay, you have option like civil servant, you have a lot of students, stuffs like that mixed together, business, all those status. Now if you want to convert this, all you need to do is to code based on the number of status that you have. So if you have 5 status, now you can say that okay, student is equal to 1, business is equal to 2, like that. You code them and you change everything back to number from your Excel before you move it to any of the environment for your analysis. Now for the gender, you can use this one is very straightforward because gender is 2, and if you have in a situation whereby you have orders in your gender, you can just extend it to 3. So you can decide to code it in this way: male 1, female 2, order 3. And if you have just 2 of it, you can just fill it in this way: male 1, female 2, or you can even decide to make it of male 0 female 1. So it depends on how you want to use it. So now we are going to transform this gender to figures. To do this, we'll use the find and replace option, Ctrl H. Now from here, what we are looking for is female. So we want to replace female with 2 because we are giving it order 2. Then click on replace all, and that is all. All the place we have female in this observation have been replaced with 2. The same thing goes with male. To replace male, type male and then replace it with 1. Then select replace all, and all the place we have male has been replaced with 1. So this is how you can convert string into value before you use it for analysis. And the first one we look at is how to convert value into string. So next we'll look at concatenation. Concatenation is like combination of one or more, the combination of 2 or more variable. For instance, we have the first name variable and the last name variable. These are under the umbrella of a full name. They are under the umbrella of name variable. So we would like to combine them together. To do this combination, all you need to do is to start with the equal sign and use the concatenate function. So we type in concatenate, then open your bracket. The first thing we need here is the first name. We can do it in any order. If I want the last name to come first, I can start with the last name. So we'll select the first name, then comma, and we'll select the last name. Close the bracket, enter. Now it will concatenate it together, but there is a challenge. There is no space to demarcate between the first name and the last name. That is why you need to modify your concatenation while dealing with concatenation. You have to modify it with some functions. Now this is how to achieve a space in between. This is how to get a space in between the first name and the last name. Come back with the concatenation formula, then select the first name, comma. The next test, now we want a space, so open a double quotation, leave one space in it, close the double quotation, comma. So the space you leave there is also part of what you are concatenating. So now we'll use comma and then we'll select the last name, close the bracket, and that is all. In this case, we can have a space between the first name and the last name. And to copy this name down, all we need to do is to double click on it, and we'll have all the 280 something observation concatenate. So this is how it works. So if you are going to take this outside Excel environment, then it's advisable for you to paste this as a value. When we click on it, what you see from the formula bar there is the formula used in achieving it. So you have to convert it to value if you're taking it out of the environment. So all you need to do is to select the first one and select it down to the last one. You can use keyboard shortcut Ctrl Shift arrow down key. Then click on copy or use Ctrl C for your copy. Then you go to the paste option and select paste as value, and that is all. It's no longer a formula but now a test. So this is the second part of data cleaning technique in Microsoft Excel, and this is just like a brush through of data cleaning technique in Excel. There are other things there, but for this phase one we're not covering everything.